morning, and welcome to my channel, The Clueless Luthier, and I'm Mark. I'm going to do things a little out of order, and I've been trying to figure out how to handle this, but I'm going to work on my fretboard separately from my neck, because I'm going to have a more complex inlay. Unfortunately, I'm not going to do the one I had hoped I was going to do. I've practiced a little bit. It's beyond my skill level at this point, so I'm going to try something a little different. I've sketched it out, and I'll show that to you now. Here's a sketch I did working up an idea, and I haven't decided all of it, but if you saw my last guitar build, I had a palm tree in the 12th fret. I'm going to do almost exactly the same palm tree, but this time I'm going to add a landscape around it, and most of it will be in wood. I got a hold of some scrap lumber at Rockler, really inexpensive, including quilted maple, and I have some others too. And this actually, I have some veneer that I might use. But I'm going to add a moon using gold abalone, I believe. I'm toying with a bird, but I also might just do a small star. You'll notice it'd be the third, and the peak of the mountain in the fifth, and so forth, well, from here. I'm even toying with the idea of a little strip of water, and that would probably be calcite, but I'm not sure. But this is my concept so far, and so I won't re-show you. I have a video cutting the palm tree and the logo, for that matter. I can put a link in it. I'm not going to belabor that. Most of it, I think, will be dealing with the wood. Now, just to explain what I've done here, I found the center at the 14th fret and at the nut. I measured out 7/8 of each side, because this comes to 1 3/4, and I measured out 1 3/32 to each side of that, because at that point it's 2 3/16 inch. Then I simply took a straight edge and drew lines, and what I'm going to do is put this on my bandsaw and cut that off. I'm going to cut it off a little proud, because I'm going to want to be able to smooth this out as well. So I'm going to go do that. Okay, I have this clamped down on top of a 1/4 inch piece of wood to get it off the table a little bit. I've taken a couple swipes at it, but what I need to do is smooth this out. And so I have a plane that I just bring it across. I think that's all I want to take with that, actually. Then I have some 80 grit, 120 grit sandpaper on a level. So this is the piece of maple that I got at Rockler's, and I'm going to slice this up and make some thin veneer, so that's what I want for the sand that the palm tree's on. I think this mountain in the foreground, I believe I want to use walnut. I really like the way it looks with the ebony. And the kind of the hill in the background, I believe I'm going to use this for contrast. And this would actually be the first one I do. But first, I have to deal with this. So skipping ahead, the first thing I'm going to do is cut the cherry veneer for the hill in the background, or as I like to call it, Cherry Hill. The next piece I'm cutting is out of the walnut veneer, and that is for the mountain and the inlay. Finally, I'm cutting the piece of maple that I took out of the board that I showed earlier, and that's for the sand where the tree will be. So I have roughed out the wood for my inlays and sort of set them on top of each other, give an idea of what I'm going for. I also have my palm tree that's very similar to the last one, and I added a moon in gold abalone. So this is what I'm going to work with. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the wood inlay together as one piece, glue it together with super glue, and then once I had that all set, lay it out on the board and route out the space for it. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is draw on the outline here between these two. And then I'm going to cut this out. So what I'm going to do, I have this board here just to help line things up. I made a mark how far this comes over. I'm going to put accelerant on this side. I think I am. Let's try that again. That brush feels a little rough. Okay. On this side, some number 20 AC glue. Then press it together. I'll fill that gap later. I just want to make sure that this is nice and tight. Okay, I decided to go ahead and try to do this now. For one thing, just make it stronger. This is some sawdust I made from the same piece of maple. Whoops. So it'll match. I decided to go with that instead of the other because I found that gets kind of dark. Okay. Then, now I'm going to do, it's out of the picture, let's drop some number 10 on here. And hopefully that'll fill that nicely. Okay, I just have these together. I put this on here and I line this out a little better right there. Okay, now I'll go cut that out. Okay, I was not happy with that one, so I cut another one. This turned out much better. So the same thing. Where's my pencil? Let's mark where I need to put accelerator. This brush is really toast. And it got glue on it. Deal with that later. Okay, then AC glue on. Okay, let's get this in there tight. Oops, sorry. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go make some more dust, probably the red, so it can go along
and I'll get that in too. All right, well, I guess I'm gonna show it to you right side up now that I'm not working on it. So there is my landscape. The next thing to do is to locate this on the fretboard, mark it out, cross my fingers, and route it out. All right, so I laid this on the board. I used an X-Acto knife. Didn't think to video that, but went around the entire perimeter and I just highlighted it with pencil to make it easier to see. Now I'm going to set this up and route that to depth.
Alright, I have it all routed out. I checked to make sure that it fits nice and snug in there. And so now what I'm going to do is get some glue, tight bond. Alright, and what I'm going to use, especially here, because it's curved, I'm using the sanding block that has the same radius, or close. Clamp down really snugly. Okay, I'm gonna let that sit up overnight. Okay, I'm rather anxious to see how this turned out. Ooh, I think that sat down pretty well. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do, this was a little thicker, so it's a little high. And I think I'm going to have to sand this down a little bit. I don't want to go all the way yet because I have to be able to route out for my tree, and it extends into this, and I want to make sure I can keep the depth nice and steady. So let me do that real quick. I just want to show you, I put these back on. What I did is I took a razor knife. On the moon, I actually put a little bit of super glue to hold it in place, and then just took a razor blade to pop it off. I took a razor blade all around this, but it's hard to see it, so I took my white pencil and I marked the inside edge of that cut, and I put these back on just to make sure that they covered. So, because I'd rather go a little small and have to like work on it a little bit. So the next thing to do is to route these out. So I've routed out the fretboard for the inlays. Now I am gluing in the palm tree and the moon. I've created more sawdust from the maple, and I'm putting that in the base of the tree to fill any gaps. Then I'm going to glue it up. Now I'm going to put ebony dust around the inlays and, well, actually, almost all the inlays really. And I taped up the frets to try to protect them from getting the dust and the glue in them.
Well, this is what it looks like at the moment. Next is to start sanding this smooth, and hopefully it'll be pretty. So here it is. I'm really pretty happy with it. I had decided, I hadn't described this, I decided to add a star over on the left there. And what I did is I drilled a small hole, took a knife and made cuts in the four, top, bottom, left, right. Shoved in some crushed mother of pearl, really hard. Dropped some glue in, and then when it sanded, that's how it came out. So I'm really happy, and now I'm really bummed because I've got to cut it for the frets, and that's kind of breaking my heart just a little bit, to be quite honest with you. But it has to be done. So I did some measuring. I wanted to make sure I don't go too deep. And I discovered that in doing measurements from the bottom of the cut to the back of the board, about almost exactly as thick as this. This came from a square, adjustable square. This is just a regular square. And so I'm just going to lay these down to make sure that I don't go any farther than that. I made a little test starter, and I'm thinking it's going to work pretty well. Oops, except I'm going to ruin my saw if I'm not careful. Just start a little bit that way. Use the groove to line me up. Well, here it is. I'm really happy with it. I think the frets are okay. I'm going to do a closer inspection. But yeah, I was terrified and really excited about doing this at the same time. So next we'll be putting this on the neck and finishing the neck. So thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Take care.